This video is going to be a film study look at the Detroit Lions offense turning in a clutch fourth quarter in their 26-23 come-from-behind win over the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football. The first three quarters were not good from Detroit's offense at all. Credit to the Houston Texans defense. I talked about that in the reaction video last night. I think they've played incredibly fast, aggressive, and smart. And they had some really great reads built into their defense to take away some of the foundational plays that Jared Goff and Ben Johnson like to operate out of, number one. Number two, obviously have to give credit to the Lions defense. There is room for film study videos about that, and I will obviously complete those in Monday into Tuesday. I want to talk about the third quarter for both quarterbacks for a moment. It was not kind to either Jared Goff or C.J. Stroud. Goff threw interceptions 4 and 5, both of which I'll show you here. And then Stroud in the quarter was 1 for 7 passing with 2 interceptions as well, a 10-yard sack. The one thing I want to notice or point out about both play callers, offensive coordinators, but specifically the Texans, is after Stroud's second interception, the next time Houston got the ball back, they ran the ball on 6 of their 7 play calls, even though it wasn't successful up to that point. And of the only pass play out of those 7 snaps was a play action concept where McNeil got a sack for 10 yards. There's a huge difference in play calls after Stroud's second interceptions. Their offense seemed to disappear. Credit to Detroit's defense for breaking them. I think there was a difference in what Goff and those guys operated out of in the fourth quarter. The numbers kind of bear that out. 3 drives in the fourth quarter that are after Brian Branch's brilliant third down pass defense against, I believe it's Stover in the middle of the field. First play of the fourth quarter, it's like a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, something like that. Still 23-13. Branch with a well-timed dive to swat the ball down and get the ball back for the offense. Here's what Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown and all those guys did. 7 plays, 64 yards, touchdown. That was to get within 23-20. And then after another stop, 7 plays, 43 yards, field goal to tie with 3:20 left. Jahmyr Gibbs was obviously featured on that possession. I'll have something on him out later on this week, probably Thursday into Friday. And then finally, the game-winning drive culminated with the field goal by Jake Bates. That includes a critical 3rd and 6 completion to St. Brown that is generally easy because he is wide open, but nice design by the Lions offensive staff, if you ask me, and Goff understanding where to go with the football, really pushed them into field goal range, finished things off. Goff only finished 15 of 30 passing overall. But in the fourth quarter, he was 6 of 8 for 68 yards and that touchdown to St. Brown that pulled them within 23-20. Like I said, I will focus on the defense. You guys know I'll do a James Houston, the fourth video, sometime today or Tuesday. But let's get into the film a little bit about some of these interceptions. First of all, really nice job by Houston. Now, this is the design of the play from a Lions standpoint. Goff happens to be looking up to the top side where St. Brown is. This is the boundary side inside linebacker / dime defender. And he's jamming Laporta up just enough such that when the ball is thrown, Laporta is about a yard or a half a yard behind his, quote, spot. This is one of the things I've been advocating for the Ravens to do for weeks, which is get hands on people, make contact. Now, on some level, you could say this might be accidental, coach, number one. Number two, if we're able to get this guy to sneak out of here on the wheel and pick the man who's responsible for guarding him, then we're in business. Now, that's not exactly what happens here. I think Goff does have the opportunity to get the ball to Gibbs down here towards the boundary. It's a 2nd and 11. Throw it out towards the sideline. Make the defender go after Gibbs and try to attack it at the catch point. Goff is almost getting the ball slapped out of his hands as he's throwing, so he may not have even had time to get it to Gibbs. I think that's part of the issue here on Sunday night against the Texans was they were so great in the pass rush, particularly off that left side. I mean, we're not denigrating Skipper at all, but it's just a poor matchup that was not in Detroit's favor trying to block Danielle Hunter one-on-one. And in this case, you can see Goff gets this thing off right before Hunter gets there. You don't really have Laporta being jammed or impeded on the screen until you don't really have Laporta at all on the screen until the interception. It's a great interception by Lassiter, who's a tremendous talent out of Georgia. Rookie who at this point leads the NFL in interceptions. That's Goff's 4th interception after Stroud's first. The really unusual speed out that CD3 was able to jump and get the ball back to the Lions. Unfortunately, Goff and the offense wasted it with that interception right there. But credit to the Texans for impeding the route, slowing up Laporta, also getting the pass rush there quick enough such that if Goff tried to get to Gibbs as the next read to the bottom side of the screen, he may not have time to do so. 3 minutes later in the third quarter, about 8.5, this weird throw from Goff. It's a play action to Jameson Williams. I appreciate them trying to get the ball to Jameson Williams, but the throws, in my opinion, have got to be better than this. I do think there is something that exists with this particular formation, 2 running backs to one side, and who they put in the slot. There seems to be a reliance, perhaps over-reliance, on getting the ball to the slot receiver. I think this one should be thrown a little bit more towards the sideline by Goff. This defender, the corner, is occupied with St. Brown. Forgive me for my red pointer, and we got a red team with bright yellow or bright red ugly jerseys in the Texans from the standpoint of making it difficult for you to determine what the number is unless the camera angle gets really close. I just don't like this throw at all from Goff. I don't think he's putting this in a location that Jameson Williams can make a play on. Maybe they'll talk about it later and they'll say Jameson Williams ran the wrong route. Cool. Well, the DB's still there. I mean, the DB is there to react. He's on top of Jameson Williams' route. I feel like this ball should be thrown a little bit more towards the sideline. I thought that's where Jameson Williams was running. Great ball skills once again displayed by Texans DB. In this case, it's Kalen Bullock. We're going to move to the fourth quarter. Again, this is after Branch's PD gets the ball back for the Lions. You're down 23-13. A little bit of a cover 3 quarter half look by the Texans. I thought the one high looks morphing into zone kind of gave Goff pause at times. This one is one of their go-tos when they're struggling or they think they're going to see zone. The little Z under, the slot receiver, in this case, it's the tight end, is going to clear out the inside linebacker to the boundary. So vertical concept. It's actually the safety roll down. My apologies. And then Z under by St. Brown. He's the Z receiver because he's on the same side as the tight end who's on the line, and St. Brown has to be off. This tight end is carried by the inside linebacker. St. Brown's route brings him underneath, so it's easy. Again, there's a pass rush off the left side that I think got. When I watched this live, he got close enough with his hand. I was a little worried about Goff's ability to get some of these throws off. Right there. As it stands, it went down for 9 yards. I didn't think St. Brown got 9 out of it. There was a lot of guys there. They were able to convert it and get the first down. 2 plays later, brilliant play by Jameson Williams. And Goff takes a big hit from Barnett. They do chip him with Montgomery. We're at about 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Still down 23-13. Motion right to left. So there is this chip on Barnett with Montgomery. And Williams is going to sit this route down, kind of like a deep curl. And I'm going to show this one so you can see the timing at which the ball is snapped. It essentially ensures that Williams is going to get a clean release. Because of the motion, it forces the corner, Derek Stingley, to expand. You can see he expands. He's right here, my apologies. You can see that he expands with the motion, ensuring that Williams is getting a free release. And when he sits down here, watch the contact. This ball ends up a little bit wobbly from Goff, and I don't get it. The announcer said, oh, that makes sense why it's wobbly because he couldn't step in the throw. What? Like, there's no reason for this ball to be so wobbly such that it takes an incredibly long time to get there and ends up putting Jameson Williams in a situation where he gets high load. I don't think that anyone tipped that ball. I don't think that Barnett is, quote, there during the throwing motion such that Goff can't get this off and it not be a spiral. Hopefully I'm saying that in a way that makes sense. But Jameson Williams, clutch here. It's a 2nd and 6, 13 minutes left. Ball is at midfield. You get 17 yards. That right there, when you're down 23-13, lets you know, okay, we've got guys that are going to make tough catches. Same play from the end zone angle so you can see it and confirm for yourself. Goff had plenty of opportunity to throw this ball and have it not be a wobbler. It was Jameson. I was shocked that he held on. 2 violent hits, low and then high, again goes for 17 yards. Very next play, brilliantly designed and set up. The Lions used these formations whereby they had two tight ends and a receiver to one side, or in this case, one tight end and two receivers. Either way, it's three, whether it's Trey or bunch, compressed, and then a solo X receiver down to the bottom. But they attack to this side more often out of that formation. It's to the boundary where we know, or I know, I suspect that Ben Johnson likes to attack. Little out motion by Raymond. And I think that's designed to hold this free safety and the second level defenders, essentially get their attention to the side where Raymond's motion went, and then come back away from it. And this is set up for Montgomery. 24-yard screen. I thought that he was going to try to hit underneath of this block in live time, but you can see there's nothing there. Another defender closing down, and then a backside guy in pursuit. Montgomery breaks that tackle, the one that I mentioned anyway. 24-yard gain. That right there was a moment. It was like, oh my goodness, they have an opportunity to do this. At the half, I'll be honest with you, I thought the game was over. And this Lions team, the defense being rock solid the way they were, put the offense in position where all they needed was one efficient or high-level quarter, in this case the fourth quarter, to get this thing done. Look at the setup they've got into the boundary. 3 offensive linemen out in front. Montgomery has his choice of lanes to go through. Stays on his feet until he's tackled by Holman and Barnett. 24 yards. Very next play. This is cool. Same formation, except now you've got 2 tight ends on the field. And again, my suspicion and what I talked about is they attack to this side more often than not. In this case, they're using motion from St. Brown. That motion was utilized, I would say, 6 or 8 times in the second half from very similar formations. I think that motion was all to set up or normalize the Texans' reaction. Essentially, in this case, no reaction. No one rolled. They just walked the inside linebacker out. And so Patrick is going to go get him. And then you can see the tunnel nature of the offensive lineman working to give St. Brown something to cut off the backside of. And he cuts off the back of both of those blocks. So let's run it back one more time. And you can see how he cuts off the backside of Sewell and Kevin Zeitler. So first is going to be Sewell and then Zeitler. St. Brown is going to end up going off the backside of both of those blocks. Perfectly executed from a design standpoint. Ragnow not really needed. 9-yard touchdown that was way too easy if you're a Texans fan. At that point, I'm sure that you, just like me, started to believe, like, hey, they can get this done. They were able to tie it at 23, and then the defense got another stop, gave Goff and those guys the ball back. Well, they fortunate to get a missed field goal, don't get me wrong, but there's a pass defense by Anzalone. Again, I'm not focusing on the defense here at all. We'll do that in a separate video. I think the defensive effort is worthy of that. Aaron Glenn's guys played like their hair was on fire. So the missed field goal, yes, is the Texans' quote fault. But the play before that on the third down, Anzalone gets a pass defense that forces them into such a long field goal. I think it was 56, 58. I could be wrong. We are now inside of 2 minutes left. We skipped forward. We're focusing on Goff and St. Brown and the connection they have and how the offense was able to put it together. Gibbs played a big role. This 3rd and 6, too easy. I'm not sure what the Texans are doing from a coverage standpoint, being as Jamison Williams is down here. So they end up allocating essentially 2 players to a vertical route to the top side here. It's 3rd and 6, a minute 40 left. You have a tight end and St. Brown and Raymond up to the top side. Look at how they're calling this with the corner and one of their nickel safeties. That forces Petre to match, I think it's Zylstra, out into the flats, and it's just too much space for any inside linebacker to cover. Al-Shahir, I thought, played really well. Al-Shahir, excuse me if I mispronounce his name wrong. He played incredible last evening. But this is way too much space. And St. Brown is bringing this route right in towards him. And then almost like a China out, additional to that, Jamison Williams running over the top. Theoretically, Goff could throw the football over the top of Al-Shahir if he stuck to St. Brown a little bit more heavy. I think that's all design. All the design of the play is to give him St. Brown and or Jamison Williams second. So it's either going to be a 1, St. Brown, or 2, Williams over the top if Al-Shahir had stayed connected to him and kind of walled that off. I think this is a mistake by the Texans to call this particular half-field coverage against trips and essentially double team number one. Left St. Brown too much space, too much opportunity to work on an inside linebacker. Goes for 11 yards. St. Brown made sure he had possession. The end zone angle is what I usually prefer for field goals. This one I really love because, number one, you guys getting ran over but giving themselves up for the team. Holder is unsure. You can see he's a little bit unsure or unsteady. Perhaps maybe his hold caused it to go a little bit to the left. I have no idea. I haven't examined that yet. What I do know is you can see the moment that guys start to realize it. Sewell is the first guy to begin to celebrate. Maybe a little early. I don't know. I wish I could time it up and see it, but the celebration is the coolest part, if you ask me. I think that's the long snapper doing a home run swing. Jake Bates running in his hometown. Kind of he was the coolest guy about it. I loved his post-game interview and how he reflected on his faith and said that he didn't feel like the moment was overwhelming to him. It certainly wasn't for the Detroit Lions. They showed the mettle. I know that everyone's going to call it the grit this morning, but the mettle and the determination and character to come back against a really good football team on the road, down 23-7 in the second half. I can't wait to start diving into the defensive film a little bit more. I have about 30 plays saved up. Don't have it in video form prepared yet. Hopefully would like to do that for Monday afternoon. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comment section. Do I think Jared Goff played well? Obviously not. I really don't care if 2 or 3 of those interceptions, quote, weren't his fault because of the pass rush. His delivery last night looked a tick slower to me. 1/10 of a second slower, 8/100ths of a second slower. I'm not sure. It looked a little slower to me. And I think the pass rush getting there so soon may have played along with that factor, if it's true that his delivery looked a little slower, that those two things work together to force a little bit of those passes defense or balls to be knocked down by oncoming rushers. Did the pass pro stand up early for the Lions? No, it did not. They didn't put Goff and the passing game in position to succeed. Houston is a unique defense. They're 6-4 at this point right now. I think they're better than their record, particularly if Nico Collins is playing along with Will Anderson. Fun game to watch, fun game to try to evaluate. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please let me know in the comment section if you did, number one. Number two, if you think other Lions fans would enjoy or appreciate this film study video of how Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and the offense were able to be clutch over the final 15 minutes of the game, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.